I wonder if there's a little dog who wanted some breakfast time. Do you want some breakfast? Yeah! Do you want some breakfast? Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Meredith E. Phillips, and we have a 3-day weekend on our hands. And man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. We are peppy. We are full of sleep and life, which is great. I have had such a relaxing morning. It's been lovely. I slept in a tiny bit, which was great. My husband left early for work, so it was just me and the dogs. I snuggled with Jade a little bit. That was lovely. I had breakfast. I took a shower. I got myself ready. I'm ready to go. If you're watching this video the day or like the day after it comes out, it is going up early this week because on Friday, I am launching my Patreon page and I have a special video set aside just for that. So that's the video you'll get on Friday, but I didn't want you to miss out on a 3-day weekend vlog. So you're getting it early. Real quick, let me give you your final little hint, clue, anticipatory factoid about the Patreon stuff. I've given hints in the previous 2 videos, so go check those out if you missed it. But this final hint is for the 3rd tier, and your hint is critique. Critique. I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys are too. I'll explain all of the details on Friday. Before we get into actual work-related stuff, I wanted to take a second to kind of explain a little better, maybe a little more in depth maybe, about what exactly I'm doing to take my draft 2 to a draft 3. I do have a whole video about my revision process. I'll link that below in case you missed it. I put that out several months back now, but that kind of goes through everything as an overview, but I wanted to talk a little more specifically about this particular project and what I'm doing to improve it, and what in my mind constitutes like this is draft 2 and now this is draft 3. Let's define some terms first though. I will direct you to Alyssa in the Books. She did a video a couple weeks back now where she was like, here's a lot of like weird writer author terms that we use here on YouTube that you may not know about. So if you're kind of new to the writing game and some of these terms are like, wait, what is that? She has a whole video, so I'll link that below too. But for me and my particular workflow, let's chat about what drafts mean and what they look like. So we start here with a first draft. I don't do 0 drafting, but some people do. I don't. For me, this is a complete telling of the story from scene 1 all the way through to the end, and it's complete. There is a full story there. I do this based on a detailed outline that I've worked on previous to starting drafting, and for the vast majority of it, there are no blanks. There's no like brackets for character names or place names that I haven't thought up yet. Like I've thought of them all at this point. I don't have brackets where it's like insert fight scene here or somehow they figure out how to open the door and then this happens. Like I don't have little like brackety things like some people do, and that's totally fine. You can absolutely do that. But like my first drafts don't have that. It's the full story. It's clunky, but it's the full story. It is rather bare bones in this first draft stage. There's a huge lack of description when it comes to setting and characters. The wording, like I said, is very clunky. The dialogue is stilted and kind of awkward. And even though I do have that complete detailed outline, there's always some portion or portions of the story where I get to it and it just doesn't quite make total sense. Or maybe I think of a different way to resolve different issues or to conclude different portions of the story that are maybe more creative than what I had previously thought of in the outline. I'm writing Regency romance, and so my first drafts tend to be around 60,000 words. After I finish the first draft, we let it sit for a little minute, as long as I can stand it, and then I go in and I try to revise it into a second draft. In the second draft, I'm looking for like major plot issues, plot holes, things about the plot that really do not jive or work together. I'm adding in that missing setting and character description. Sometimes I'm adding new scenes, or I'm removing old scenes, or I'm combining scenes. There are very often a ton of notes about doing things earlier, setting stuff up earlier, including information earlier, so that later elements in the story make more sense. So for example, in my current work in progress, my heroine has a bit of a contentious relationship with her mother, but you really only get a small little snippety hint of that in chapter 2, and then you don't see the mother again until like after the midpoint, and she's really not mentioned at all. And so then when the character has to go back and have an interaction with her like feelings of dread and like really not wanting to have to go to her mom for the help she needs and blah 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 blah, like it doesn't make sense. You're like, why do you dislike your mom so much? What? And so we needed to like reestablish that a little better. The other thing I look at when I'm working on this draft 2 is how chapters begin and end. You want the beginning of the chapter to hook the reader as fast as possible, and when they get to the end of the chapter, you want to end it on a note that makes them want to keep reading. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be like a cliffhanger ending every time. Sometimes it is, but more often than not, you want it to be like, oh my gosh, now they're going to go do this thing. Oh, I have to see how that turns out, right? And so you want to keep them reading and engaged. This is often the draft 2 where I'm doing more fact checking. I've done a lot of that already in the outlining stage. But I inevitably come across some other thing where I'm like, wait, is this correct in terms of like historical accuracy? So I think I've talked about this before, but in my first draft and in the outline, like my tiny little small brain did not think of this. Why? I don't know. But in the first draft, my characters go to Vauxhall Gardens, which was an outdoor entertainment venue in old-timey England times. But the problem is my book takes place in February, or at least the scene took place in February, and it's an outdoor venue, and you go there at night. It's in London. It's gonna be freezing cold. Duh, Meredith, who would want to go out in that? So of course I looked it up, and Vauxhall Gardens didn't even open until May. Which makes sense because the weather would be a little more pleasant at that point in the year. I had to change it completely. I had to move the scene to a completely different indoor venue. So there's silly things like that where it's like, how did you not think of this a long time ago? But anyway, I didn't, so I had to fix it. Once I've completed that draft 2, that's the version of the story that I send to my critique partners. Once they've had a chance to look through it, give me notes, then it's time to dive into draft 3, which is the point I'm at now. This is the first draft where I have opinions from other people to consider and incorporate. And it's really helpful to be able to see like if certain elements, certain plot points are hitting the way I want them to, if they have like a reaction to certain things that they're supposed to have a reaction to, or I want them to have a reaction to. I can see that in their notes, whether they did or not. It also helps me to see if pieces of information are being conveyed correctly or having the impact that I want them to have. A lot of times there's things that I think are super obvious and my critique partners will like not pick up on it or they won't quite get it. So it is not maybe as obvious as I thought it was, or they're asking for details to be included that I just hadn't thought of, hadn't even considered yet. This really helps me to see if the order in which I'm presenting information in the story is done at the correct timing, or if I potentially need to move certain pieces of information earlier in the manuscript. For me, I almost always need to move some kind of pivotal information earlier in the story so that character motivations, goals, all that kind of stuff makes sense, or so that plot points later in the book are set up properly. Like the whole, the heroine has this issue with her mom, like we need to make sure we set that up, right? I am still doing some amount of rewriting for draft 3, but it's not as extensive as what I did for draft 2. Draft 2, I was like cutting entire chapters or combining things or writing new chapters. And this one doesn't involve that for the most part. So again, for this current work in progress, I'm reworking chapters 1, 2, and 3 pretty well. Like, a lot of the text is staying the same, but I'm adding stuff to it or taking stuff out. So some of the things that I'm trying to incorporate better and make more clear are the hero's goals and motivations, and to set up a little better why the two main love interests do not like each other from the start. My critique partners also gave various suggestions about how to up the tension and the stakes, and so I'm working on incorporating that kind of thing too. One thing that threw off both of them was a chapter where I introduce 4 new characters all at the same time, and both of them at various points later throughout the draft when these characters were popping up again, they both were having trouble remembering exactly who was who, and so we need to work on that. So my plan there is to, instead of introduce all 4 all at the same time, I'm going to spread it out a little bit and hopefully give each of those characters a little kind of moment to shine their personality through a little more clearly, so we can learn who they are, like, kind of one at a time instead of trying to distinguish them all at the same time all at once. They also had a couple suggestions about splitting certain chapters into 2 chapters, which, yeah, I'm fiddling with how to exactly do that. So overall, for this draft 3 of this current project, the 2 biggest portions that I think need work are Act 1 and Act 4. The middle portion of the book I think is actually fairly solid. There's definitely some things to tweak in Acts 2 and 3, but nothing that's like quite as extensive as what I'm doing in the beginning and closing acts. So that's just a little look at these different drafts and how I'm taking the story from one iteration to the next. That having been said, let's go ahead and get to work. It's almost 11 o'clock. Like I said, I took this morning slow. We were just chilling. We were taking our time, and it was great. So it's 11 o'clock though. I'm ready to get started. Hopefully finish up chapter 1 today. Let's see if we can do that. All right, here's chapter 1 in all of its messy glory. I've been working on this for pretty much the whole week. I think I started on Monday. The chapter is at 36, almost 3,700 words. For me, that feels a little bit lengthy, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm also struggling with my brain telling me falsehoods. Here's the thing. Last year, when I wrote the book that I'm currently querying, chapter 1 ended up being exactly 10 pages. It fit on 10 pages, like with a line or 2 to spare at the bottom, right? It was perfect. And I loved that because a lot of agents ask for the first 10 pages along with your query and synopsis, etc., etc. And I was like, that's great. If they ask for 10 pages, I can send in chapter 1 because it's 10 pages. That felt very satisfying. That is not a rule. Your chapter 1 does not need to be 10 pages, but somehow in my brain, now that's the rule. Chapter 1 has to be 10 pages. That's not the rule, Meredith. It can be longer. It can be shorter. It can be whatever it needs to be. But now I'm looking at this like, oh my gosh, I have to shorten it up like a lot because this is way over 10 pages now. So I'm struggling with wanting to shorten it to be this magical 10 pages that it does not absolutely have to be. But on the other hand, I don't want it to be over long for no reason. Like 3,600 words is going to be like 12, 13 pages maybe. Like that's pretty lengthy. I don't know. That feels long to me. And I'm like, there's got to be something in here you can trim down. So I'm trying to go through it and trim it up. We're trimming it, but like not very well. But I really hate the idea of having a chapter 1 that's like 12 pages, because then you could only send in 10 if that's what they ask for, and it would be like cut off. It would be like a musical scale that doesn't resolve. Like, it just hurts. It hurts inside your soul, you know, or like where there's 2 lines and one is like not quite lined up. Like, it's that kind of thing to me. It doesn't have to be 10 pages. Let it be what it needs to be, Meredith. But also it would be great if I could get it down to 10 pages. So I've added, I think, pretty much all the new stuff I need to add. So I'm just going through it now and trying to clean it up in terms of like really nitpicky wording and stuff. Let's see what I can do. about 1:15 and I think I'm done, at least for now, with chapter 1. It only took a week to get it to this point. That does not bode well for the rest of this book. The rest of this revision, oh my gosh. It's fine. I did manage to trim out some words. Thank you. It started at 3680 and we are down to 3554. So it's like 130 words, which is could be better, but at least it's less. I don't know what that works out to in terms of like page count, but we're just gonna put that aside. I'm gonna take a quick little break, grab some lunch, and then I guess go on to chapter 2 and see what we've got going on there. We've got a lot going on there, actually, now that I think about it. These next two these first 3 chapters are just gonna take time, which is fine. But yeah, break first, then chapter 2. You're wondering, the garage is still a disaster from the hurricane. You know, insurance taking forever. All right, lunchtime is over. I let the dog out in the yard. I ate lunch. I threw in a load of laundry. Pretty successful. It's about 1:15. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up chapter 2 so you see what we've got going on there. I totally forget if I'm doing some kind of major thing or not, or what exactly I'm planning for this chapter. Good thing I took notes earlier. Yeah, see how far we can get. Chapter 3, I know I'm gonna like redo the intro to it and do a whole bunch of other stuff. I can't remember chapter 2 if I have some mega thing. I don't think there's a huge amount here. A little bit of addition, of course. Of course, you know me. Draft 3, we're just gonna blow up the word count. It's currently at about 2,500 words. So we'll see what we end up with when we're finished here for today. All right, it is almost 3:30. I need to break because I have other stuff I gotta do today, but listen, okay? All right. Did I add 600 words to this chapter? Maybe. And am I done with it? No. This chapter introduces you to the heroine, and you also get the meet cute between the love interests. And one of my critique partners was kind of like, I think it needs like a little more, like draw out the interaction a little bit more. It felt a little thin. And I agreed. There's other stuff happening in this chapter, and the actual part where they're meeting and talking, just the two of them, is pretty short. And so I was like, yeah, okay, I can expand it. No worries there. And then I added like 400 words. I think it's better. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine for the moment. It's now over 3,000 words total. But I like it. I like what they're saying to each other because he's kind of a douche. I still have to like finish it. I've got like the last quarter of the chapter still to go. That's fine. We'll get to that tomorrow. Because now I need to make a grocery list, a meal plan for the next 2 weeks, and what else did I need to do? Something else. I don't remember. I'll be back tomorrow and we'll keep working on this. Good morning. How's it going? It is dreary and kind of drizzly and rainy outside, so it's perfect writing weather. I got a lot done yesterday evening. We went to the grocery store. It was delightful as always. I raced the train on the way home, which was great. I always feel like I'm the stagecoach in the opening of Dodge City. You know, obviously what I'm talking about. I'm always like, yeah, I'm gonna beat it, but the speed limit is like 35 through there, so you know, you gotta be careful. It's a little after 10 o'clock and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. It would be awesome if we could get like through chapter 3. I was almost done with chapter 2 yesterday. There's not a ton left to fiddle with. I reread it this morning, actually, the portion I had really messed with. She a little clunky, but that's okay. We'll fix it up. There's a lot of like repeated words and phrases and stuff, so we'll fix it. So yeah, just a whole day ahead of us. I did all of my chore kind of things yesterday, so we're just gonna have a chill writing day. Love that for me. Let's go ahead and get started. the moment, I am done with chapter 2. It started at 3275. We got it down to 3216. It's fine. So I'm going to go on, I guess, to chapter 3. I'm going to redo the opening to this. And I'm thinking there'll be like a little bit of a time jump in the middle. But I'm essentially going to write a new scene. Or not like a whole big thing. I just need a little bit. It's going to be like 1,500 words or something stupid. But let's try to keep it under 1,000. I just need almost like a little vignette. Okay, we're trying to keep this portion small. What do I have to do in this portion? We are going to introduce 2 side characters in this section, in this new section. We're going to get a glimpse at the hero's father in a different context. We've met him already in chapter 1 and gotten like one impression of him, and now we're going to see him again, showing like a different side of himself. And we're going to further like drill down on the fact that these 2 love interests just do not like each other. That's a tall order for not very many words. Let's see what I can do. I've written 484 words and every single one of them is terrible, objectively terrible. So it's 1:15. I'm going to take a break and get lunch, and then I'm going to come back to this and hopefully fix it because this is atrocious. I feel like I almost want to just scrap all of this and like start over. I'm struggling. I hate writing like new scenes in the middle of revision. It's just the worst. It's just the worst because you can't get into like a flow. There's no flow. Lunch, then we'll deal with this mess. Guess what? Oh, it's the return of Ratty Sweater. Did you guys miss it? I mean, it's so fashionable, right? I haven't had to wear this for a long time because, you know, it's summer and it's so hot. But it was feeling like the slightest bit chilly indoors. And I was like, you know what that calls for? It calls for a ratty sweater with holes in it and ratty sleeves. There's the hole. I should just throw it away. This thing cost like $10 in like 2007 at Walmart. But she's still looking so good. Oh. I need to get serious over here. Get serious. Serious writer things only. I have work to do. I've got to rewrite this. It's terrible. All right, I'm just going to rewrite it. I'm not going to delete anything yet. I'm going to tab down, space it down, and we're just going to start over. Okay, lunch was supposed to like pep me up, and I'm still kind of feeling tired, which is weird because we did sleep in today. I think I started waking up around 6, unheard of, and we didn't actually get up until like almost 7. I slept well. Here's the thing. Okay, it's 1:08. I want to finish chapter 3 today, and I want to play Zelda today. I didn't get to play Zelda at all yesterday, which was a travesty. Our reward for finishing chapter 3 well, not rushing through it, finishing it well, our reward will be playing Zelda and finding more Korok seeds because you guys, I have like 800, like 30 some Korok seeds out of 1,000. We're very close. Although stupid me has left the Hebra region for the end. And I hate that region. So anyway, you don't care. You don't care. It's fine. I'll just celebrate on my own when I find the last one. I'm gonna rewrite this down. Oh my goodness, I am struggling. It's 3:15. I have finished writing the new intro for this chapter. It's like 1,100 words, you know, nothing too crazy. The whole scene, or the whole chapter now, because I guess really it's like 2 scenes, I don't know. The whole chapter, though, is just under 2,900 words. Shorter than the previous 2. So we're doing good on that front. And I haven't gone through like the original chapter yet. So, I'm like losing steam so fast. But I really want to try to get this finished. So I'm going to go through, I need to go through like my critique partner notes, like in the line by line kind of stuff, see what all they said for the rest of the chapter, see if I need to fit in anything else. And then I really want to go back through the whole thing and clean it up. Let's see how much I can get done in the next 45 minutes, because then it will be 4 o'clock and little dog in the other room will definitely be waking up by then. So 45 minutes, let's go. She has awoken. All in all, I have added 999 words to this chapter, which I think is about what I was expecting. So, not too bad. It's 3:45. I'm going to be done with this for today. I did go through the second portion. My critique partners had like a few little like, what about this or that? Like little quick things to insert. So I did that. I think I'm done. I think I'm done for today. Tomorrow is my extra day off since it's the 3-day weekend for Labor Day. I'm excited. I'm going to be going out for breakfast in the morning. I'll bring you along with me for that. We'll hopefully finish up this long weekend with a good work day and make some good progress. I'll see you then. Here we are, the elite dining experience that is Denny's. There's the lake over there. I don't think you can really see it, but there it is. I believe it was Dave Grohl who once said, "What if I say I'm not like the others?" And he also said, "What if I say I'll never surrender?" That's a great song. I'll link it below. It really gets me psyched. So we're here at Denny's. We're going to do some writing. We're going to do some eating. And maybe we can get a closer shot of the lake a little later. Because you really can't see it from that last shot. But anyway, let's go. And here we are again, back home. That was fun. It's always nice seeing everybody and getting caught up and having food and writing. What's not to love about that? I started work on chapter 4, got a little bit done, and it's only noon. So we have plenty of time to keep working today. First though, I've got to pull the laptop out, transfer the documents to the stuff on my computer over here. Need to finish rewatching this 25-minute video on a analysis of the recent 5-minute long Zelda trailer. Not now, I'll watch it later. But yeah, so let's work for a few more hours. And then we'll have a few hours this afternoon to just chill and relax because I've done good this weekend so far. Proud of my progress. So let me get things fiddled with, organized, and pick up where I left off at Denny's. I absolutely did not get distracted for an hour looking at upcoming like mentor-mentee contest things to enter. That wouldn't be something I would do because I am studious and disciplined with my writing. So I've got all of my stuff pulled up over here. Listen, just leave me alone. Okay, I've got my stuff pulled up. I'm needing, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do? I need to reread this because I was writing in a crowded restaurant, which, you know, sometimes that is distracting. So I need to reread what I did to make sure I don't have some stupid mess. And then I need to look at my critique partner feedback for this chapter and sort of fiddle with incorporating that kind of stuff. For the most part, I think this chapter was pretty solid to begin with. There's not like some big new thing I'm trying to add to it. It's just a little more like digging into the characters kind of stuff. It was at, when I started, it was at 1,630 words. And I'm just a little over 1,700 at this point. So I think I can absolutely keep this under 2,000. Very good. And then maybe we'll kind of move on to chapter 5. We'll see. One of the things I am a little like concerned about, I'm just not sure how this is gonna read, is because I deleted chapter 6. Remember, we deleted chapter 6. We're going to incorporate some of that information in another chapter, but that now means that there are 3 chapters in a row from the hero's POV, which feels like a little much. That was one of the reasons I wrote chapter 6 to begin with, was to break up that POV. Like, there's no rule. It's not like you have to do every other one from, you know, switching POV, or you can't have more than this many chapters from that POV. Like, you can do what you need to do, but I don't know, this early in the story, it maybe feels like a little too much from one character. There's no way, like, the next chapter from the heroine's POV, like, I couldn't move that up. It doesn't make sense in the sequence of the story. And these chapters are all, like, the hero going out and doing things, not having to do with the heroine. Well, I mean, it has to do with the heroine, but she's not, like, with him, where it's like, oh, we'll just switch the scene to her POV. Like, it wouldn't work. So these chapters have to be from his POV, and there's no way to reorder things, at least that I can tell, in order to, like, break things up a little bit. So I'm gonna just stick with it, and then maybe when we're finished, either when I'm finished rewriting, revising, whatever, all of Act 1, I'll go back to the beginning and read the whole thing through as an act and see how it flows. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. That's a little ways, you know, we've got a little work to do before we get to that point. That's the one thing I'm just like, I don't know. What do you think? Is that too much? Does it matter? Would you notice or be like, oh my gosh, what's she up to? Hello. And it's not like there's days passing. It's very quick. Within a couple hours, there's like a bunch of things happening to him that progress the story. Yeah, so let me just reread this chapter 4, fiddle with a few last things, hopefully, and hopefully wrap this up here pretty quick. I am done for the most part with chapter 4. I've gone through it several times. I'm not sure still about certain things, but I'm gonna let it sit and just let it be what it is for the moment. I'm gonna go on to chapter 5 probably tomorrow. I looked over just some of the notes to kind of get an idea of what all was in there, and I think I'm gonna work on it tomorrow because I'm gonna work on something else now that is related but is not actually revision. It's fine. And I think that's going to wrap it up for this vlog. I'm very happy with the progress I made this week, or this weekend. Hopefully we can get through the rest of Act 1 by the end of next weekend. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how far I can get in the mornings with working on stuff before work. Don't forget, Friday I'm going to be launching my Patreon page, so I hope you'll check that out. There'll be a whole video. It's like 11 minutes long. It's not that long, but just detailing like what you'll find over there. And of course, all the links to all the things will be in the description of that video. So I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.